Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the City Council meeting. It is Monday, August 9th, 2019, and we will start this meeting with a roll call and determination of quorum.
Nordstrom. Here. Modrick. Here. Roberts. Stroman. Here. Armstrong. Here. Lewis. Lehman. Drury. Evans. Here. Drew. We have a quorum.
Okay, thank you. And our invocation tonight is from Pastor James Moore. Change your name for you, no charge. James Moore for the invocation, and following that will be the Pledge of Allegiance.
Let's pray together. Lord, we don't come to you with any great prayer tonight, just a simple prayer of faith, believing, Lord, that you have a plan and a purpose for us all tonight. Lord, we recognize that your word says that there's no authority or government that is in power that is not instituted and sanctioned by God. Lord, we also recognize tonight that King Saul failed in his leadership because he did not inquire of the Lord. And so, Lord, we ask upon this council tonight the divine favor of God. We ask, Father, the discernment, Lord, to see deeply into issues and understand second and third order effects to decisions. And Lord, we also just ask a conviction, Lord, a deep conviction, Lord, that if we please you, Lord, it doesn't matter who we displease. And if we displease you, it doesn't matter who we please. So we pray tonight, your blessing and your favor be on these great men and women and on those that speak tonight and upon all the business. Lord, we submit ourselves to your authority first, and then this city council, recognition of their authority in this city given by you. We ask your blessing in the name of Jesus. Amen. Thank you.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, everyone. Now we're going to move on to the adoption of the agenda. This is a time when the City Council can adopt the agenda as it is written, or they can make certain modifications to it. So would there be a motion? Motion to approve the agenda by Modrick, second by Lewis. All in favor of that motion say aye. Aye. Opposed say no. Motion carries. We have a couple of presentations tonight. First one from the Sustainability Committee, and this is their annual update. So please introduce yourself and then take it away.
Good evening. My name is Lisanne Zeller, and I'm the current chair of the Rapid City Sustainability Committee. We're here tonight to do our annual report, which we do every year. So we just have a couple of slides to go over to fill you in on what we've been up to, and I just want to mention that we're excited to be here the same night that Jerry Wright's making his presentation. We couldn't have planned that any better. So just a couple of things we're going to go over tonight up on this summary screen here: our history and purpose, who our members are, some updates, our structure, our events and accomplishments, and our future direction. So for those of you that are new to the City Council, I know we go over this every year, but we were formed by the Rapid City City Council on April 2nd, 2012 in response to the work done by the Green Cities Task Force at that time. So we've been around for a little over 7 years now. Our purpose is to encourage education, stewardship, and policy leadership that will make our community a leader in economic, social, and environmental sustainability. And one of our primary objectives with that is incorporating those three things, or what they call the triple bottom line in sustainability: economy, social, and environment, into decision making. So that goes for communities, businesses, people in their day-to-day lives, but that's really what is at the core of sustainability, is taking those three factors into account in decision making. This is a list of our current committee members. We've got our vice chair here tonight behind me, Zach Burkhardt, Kevin Crosby, our former chair from last year, Ellen Anderson, Kelly Jewell, Jason Phillips, they're being shy. Just a list of our committee members. We've had some change recently, so we've got some new members that we're excited to get on board with us. Couple of updates from the last year. We did add 2 alternate member positions. So we were a committee of 12 and we're now a committee of 14 with our 2 alternates. And we really did this just to give us some flexibility and meeting quorum requirements. But we also had a lot of interest over the past year and people wanting to get involved. And so we wanted to expand those opportunities, but we didn't want to get too big. So we've created a couple of alternate positions and that's worked out really well for us. We've also added a treasurer position to our executive committee. We didn't have one of those for a few years. We have a new subcommittee structure, which I'm going to touch on in just a moment. We did lose our staff liaison person this past year, Beth Ann Furley from Solid Waste. She was our staff liaison. And then Bill Evans is our new city council liaison. We also want to thank Darla Drew. She's been our past liaison for, I can't remember how many years, but she was awesome. So thank you. We look forward to working with Bill. He's already been to a couple of our meetings and we're excited to have him. So our new subcommittee structure, this was an idea to kind of break our larger committee into these 3 smaller subcommittees so that people could really focus on things that they're passionate about and hopefully we could be more effective in getting some things done. So our education events and outreach subcommittee puts on events like Earth Day. They do our Rapid City Sustainability Awards. They're also recently working on a plastic bag use and waste reduction effort, which Richie Nordstrom had a hand in prompting us to do. So you'll hear more on that soon in the future. We've been working on that. We also have a city facilities subcommittee. They've been working on things like downtown street lighting, working with the Civic Center coordinator. We met with Rod Johnson about the CSAC building renovations here, and then also working with students at the school, South Dakota School of Mines and Technology, the EPIC students. They did a study at the landfill that you'll also be hearing more about in the future, I think. And then sustainable development is kind of the catch-all for everything else. So Jason Phillips is our low-impact design guru. He's out at the School of Mines working on that for his PhD. So we've been focusing on that, the Volkswagen settlement funds, affordable housing, and then pedestrian and bicycle transportation infrastructure. So this is kind of new to our committee, but it's working well to help us focus on some things. With that, I'm going to turn it over to our Vice Chair, Zach, and he'll take over from here.
Thanks, Liza. Hello, Mayor. Hello, Council. Continuing on with events and accomplishments. Every year, the American Institute of Architects holds a Design in the Hills. This year, it was in Rapid City. We had a couple members participate in that. They toured the city looking at different energy efficient and sustainable projects, including the green roof at the airport. Solid Waste Sustainability Camp was held last summer. We also participated in that. And then this winter, we toured the new Black Hills Energy Horizon Point building, which has a lot of great energy efficient and sustainable design in there. So we learned a lot from that. And then last September, there was a National Drive Electric Week that we also participated in. More events and accomplishments. We participated in the Dark Skies Week, the 4th Annual Earth Day Expo, which is a great success for us. WDT has a lot of great up-and-coming sustainable programs, including the aquaponics program, which we helped to judge. Roaming Around had a sustainable clothing event last week that we had a booth at. That was a lot of fun. And then we also give out awards every quarter or so. Last year we gave out 3, so congratulations to all the businesses that are focused on reducing waste and energy efficiency. Like I said, Earth Day Expo is a great success for us. There's lots of great local vendors, sustainability-minded organizations, and it's a great resource for the public. We had a great turnout this year. This was on our booth, our committee booth. We asked the question, how should Rapid City be more sustainable? We got lots of great feedback, mostly on recycling, energy efficiency, and green infrastructure. I'm going to talk about some future direction. We will continue to collaborate with the universities. We will continue to participate in seminars focused on sustainability. And then we intend to continue to focus on the comprehensive plan that Rapid City put forth. especially integrating awareness, knowledge, sustainability concepts into city practices. We would like to see a base level lead standard for our new civic structures in the future, and then, of course, establish a full-time sustainability coordinator position that would talk to all city departments. So that kind of wraps it up. I encourage everybody to come to our meetings, which are held right above me in the City Administration Building every second and fourth Monday of the month at 5:30 p.m. All are welcome. Council members, mayor, feel free to join. Public, feel free to join. You can find us on Facebook and on Instagram at Rapid City Sustainability. And be willing to take any questions right now or afterwards. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much for the brief update, Dr. Wright. This is how it's done. Sorry, just a little jab here. Oh, Bill Evans.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, when I was appointed to this particular, or asked to be part of this committee, I really didn't know what it involved, but I've watched them in action, and it's going to be a great privilege to work with them, because I think they are one of the most academically oriented, research-driven, really data-conscious people that I've seen working in the city. And I'm telling you, they could serve as a model for how other committees should operate. Now, Lizanne, despite her calm, soft-spoken demeanor, is really kind of a killer. She assigns homework to the people in her committee, and they actually do it, and then there's communication among the members of the committee showing it got done. So I want to congratulate them. I think you're doing a great job.
Thanks, Mr. Evans.
All right, can we have a motion to acknowledge the sustainability report? Motion by Lewis. Second by Armstrong. All in favor say aye.
Thank you.
Approved. Acknowledged. Good job, you guys. Thank you.
I think they're supposed to put a program up. Right?
For number 2, conservation of irrigation water and compost by Dr. Jerry Wright.
Okay, thank you. I've got to encapsulate 26 years worth of work in 10 minutes, and I'll do it. But I'd like to offer to you my time and services to you, the staff, on a one-on-one individual group basis. So if I could have the slide presentation, please. It's interesting. Whenever you do recycling, you have to have a market. Without a market, nothing happens. So the one thing that we did in Rapid City, and we do in Rapid City, is composting, because over 50% of your waste is organic. But it was really interesting. In order to do something viable, you have to have a need for it. So the project was to decide what is the benefit of compost. And the number one we looked at was recycling, the compost and using it in the soil as an amendment. If you notice up there that irrigation is 37% of our total water use in the United States. Interestingly, in Rapid City, I calculated with the water we've used in 2017, it was 36%. So we're very close to the national average. So that's where we can make the biggest impact, is conserving water using compost, okay? Next slide, please. Here's your waste composition. 50+% of the waste is organic. Yard waste, food, paper, cardboard, wood, things like that. So it's a product that we adopted into our program some years ago because we could get the biggest bang for our buck, reduce what's being landfilled, and use it constructively within our community in the area of growing better soils and so forth. And this project came about because I know that compost was understood by many but not by all, and we needed to broaden the market for it. And in order to do that, we had to do a little research, and that's what this culminated in, showing the benefits of the compost going into the soil. Interestingly enough, 2017 was a relatively dry year, and if you see, I hate to show slides because everybody falls asleep, but I'll just explain what this is. This is an observation of water content in the top 8 inches of soil in a research project. If you notice, the soil that had compost in it, the 10% by weight, by far exceeded the soil that did not have compost, significantly by an average of about 10%. 10% of water available in the soil is critical, especially in the time of a drought, okay? 2018 was a little different. We had a wet year, so it was a little closer. But we saw benefits still in the retainage of water and availability of water in the top 8 inches. What we're finding is the ability of the soil to retain the water is really key. And in this study in 2017, we had a very dry year. In mid-July through mid-August, we didn't irrigate, nor did it rain. We found out that the soils that had compost in it, as you'll see, the yellow, which is 10%, the gray, which is 5%, all stayed above what's called the wilt point. In other words, that's where plants die. The soil without compost, of course, it went below 20%, which meant the crops would have potentially died or lost their vigor, or we'd have lost the entire crop, okay? This is in a normal environment within South Dakota. The next year, last year, was a little different because we had more moisture, but we still saw the line in the non-compost in the period of July to August drop to the wilted point. That's extremely critical if you're a farmer or rancher. Here's an interesting thing. We talk about compost from the standpoint of conservation of water, but also we learned that, and I learned, the importance of soil health. 20-some years ago when Dr. Fine was helping us with our original research in compost, he talked about the health of the soils of the world. And he shared with me the fact that the soils have been depleted through excessive farming and crop reclamation and claiming of things such as hay and straw. Our soils were depleted in nutrients and so forth. We found out that the addition of compost increased in 2018 the total carbon, which is important for growth and also shows sequestration of carbon, to be 15% higher in the 5% and 32% higher in the 10% compost. Significant amount. The total living biomass, which is the compost organic, the microbial communities within the soil, was 70% higher. And the crop yield for the 10% compost was 115% higher. Now this year we didn't have those similar results because we've had such a wet year. But these are all critical indicators of what compost will do. And if you talk to like the master gardeners and so forth throughout the community, they'll tell you the same thing that they have observed within their own gardens: higher yield, better crops, and so forth. This just took it to the level of a commercial operation. The single issue, I think, the utilization of compost is the transportation of it to a project. We had several agricultural producers interested, but the cost of transportation is excessive. Not excessive, it's expensive. We found that about 50% of the cost is hauling the compost to sites. That's what we found when I ran the plant. And the cost of putting a 5% by weight or 10% weight on a compost into a field is between $2,780 to $5,250. It's a lot of money. And it's marginal for an operator to do that when you're making $300 a year on hay. So the crop recovery is not going to be the benefit that will pay the cost of the investment. It will help. Now, if we were doing a high-dollar crop like flowers or maybe high-grade vegetables, it would be different. But the high cost of transportation is a significant part. The other part is the cost of the product at the plant. We could absorb that cost, but the transportation needs to be met, and we'll talk about that next. Here's an interesting thing. If I'm going to produce or provide compost to a community and say, how can you support or subsidize the transportation of that to the users in the interest of composting and saving water? If we look at the value of water, and this is a kind of a giant leap, I think, in a way, if you look at your water records in the area of 0.5, 0.4 cents, and I think you go into 0.8 cents a gallon per production, that's what it costs to pick water out of the well, pump it up, treat it, distribute it, and so forth. However, I think we need to look at what's it worth. In one analysis I used, I went to 17 cities in the state of South Dakota, and this is data from those 17 cities, the 10 that replied. We found that the average cost of production is about 0.4 cents a gallon over 2013 to 2017. The value of water, when you take the retail value of retail sales within the community, and that divides into the dollar that they received in sales tax, it comes in around 70 cents a gallon. So what I'm saying by this table is that a gallon of water to a community is worth a lot more than ½ cent a gallon. This is just a number to put on. It is significantly higher. So in my opinion, and it's a recommendation or finding in their project, that a community such as Rapid City can or should consider investing in the transportation or utilization of compost within the areas of their property that are irrigated with water that they may need in the future and they want to protect, okay? It's worth way more than what people traditionally feel it's worth. Based on a 0.05 cent per gallon, it's about, or 72 cents a gallon on retail value, the potential savings if we could conserve 10% of our water would be in the 0.7 million or to $100 million a year. It's a lot of money. It needs to be discussed and find out what we can do and afford to do. And I'm going to leave it for questions and discussion.
Move to acknowledge.
I have copies of the dissertation. I presented a copy to the mayor and to Laura, president of the council, and the mayor. If any one of you would like a copy, I have them. I'll give them to you. Great reading for falling asleep, probably.
Well, thank you, Jerry. Appreciate the presentation. Some fine work here. We had a motion to acknowledge by Lewis and a second by Armstrong. Any other comments from anyone? Okay, Jerry, thank you very much.
Thank you for your support.
All in favor of acknowledging this presentation, say aye. Aye. Opposed? All right, motion carries. All right, now on to general public comment. General public comment is a time for members of the public to discuss or express concerns to the council on any issue not on the agenda. Action will not be taken at the meeting on any issue not on the agenda except by placement on the agenda by a unanimous vote of the council members present. So I have a few speaker request forms here. I'll call your name. You should know on general public comment you have 3 minutes. You can watch these lights up here. They're just like a traffic light. And when it's yellow, it's time to start wrapping up. So first, Bill Casper.
Yes, good evening, Mayor and City Council. I'm here and talking a little bit in support of the Allied Arts Fund. We don't get, or I should say my Veterans Banner Project does not get any support from them, but they were very instrumental in helping me get started with this project 2 years ago, including helping me to get a 501(c), which I knew nothing about at the time, and I'm still not sure I know anything about. So I'm here just to support them. And then there were also some comments made in Thursday night's budget meeting that I kind of left wondering what, and maybe something you might want to contemplate. And one of those, when Pauline said that in her 12 years of being here, there never was an increase in the building permits or the licensing permits. And I thought with all the building going on here in the Rapid City area that it was rather interesting that those building permits have stayed exactly the same for the last 12 years. The conclusion I came to, and I don't know if it's right or not, is there must be a pretty powerful lobby with the contractors and the real estate agents. So that was one thing I got to thinking about. Another one was I kind of looked at the money that the Doll was getting, and it almost seemed to match, not quite, the money that the Allied Arts Fund wasn't getting. And I left here wondering just what the Doll was going to do with all that extra money that they were getting this year. So it was just something else that was unanswered when I left. And then the only last thing I'd like to say is I hope that there isn't a personality conflict involved in this. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Don Stover.
Don Stover, President, Rapid City Concert Association, 5008 West Chicago Street. I'd like to share with you a letter that I wrote. I'm not sure that all of you got to read it. I know you're busy, but I did send it out to all the council people. But I would like to share it with you again tonight, and that is, I'm writing you this day once again to appeal for you to reconsider your decision to support Mayor Allender's 24% reduction in money directed to the Allied Arts Fund. 16 member agencies are counting on you. There were several comments stated at the budget hearings which I disagree with, and I'd like to share a couple with you and tell you why. The agencies should do more to improve and update and change their normal processes. The RCCA has done that. We have and will continue to sponsor youth music programs. We are working diligently to reach individual performance sponsors as our top patrons for the season. We are reaching out to businesses to make in-kind donations to reduce our overhead. And we are taking advantage of online social media, event calendars, and web purchases of memberships via PayPal. We've also established a relationship with Ellsworth Air Force Base, a business partner to offer our memberships and tickets at discounted prices. Number two, fundraising is easy and is something member agencies should do. Fundraising is not easy. We spend many hours online, on the phone, writing letters of appeal, personal visits, and an effort to gain patrons. This community is very generous, but can only stretch so far. One just has to go to a local baseball, football, soccer game, etc., and view the banners of donors who have stretched to the max already. I know personally the DCU, Bluegrass Association, Symphony, and others are reaching out in an effort to gain revenue. Number 3, bring in new performers and variety. Each season, we bring in a variety of 6 different performers, individuals, and groups. Seldom do we have a duplicate. Such performers as the Young Irelanders Celtic Music Group coming this spring. This season, we will involve over 100 children in dance, Celtic dance, and they will perform on stage with that group. We've had jazz, Chris Brubeck, son of Dave Brubeck, big band, Doc Severinsen, Glenn Miller, vocal, tribute bands. These performers are all professionals and internationally and nationally recognized. As it relates to our contribution to the economy, we have put an average of $50,000 each year back into the community. This does not include the thousands spent by our members and guests, both before and after our concerts. We currently pay the Rushmore Plaza Fine Arts Theater an average of $3,000 per performance. This is our 83rd season. The math would suggest we've done more than our share to support this community. Once again, I ask you to reconsider your position, support your constituents, the members of your community. I would think you'd not want to see any of the allied arts agencies collapse through either lack of funding or discouragement. Thank you.
I have a question for him.
Okay, Darla Drew.
Don, could you come up to the podium, please? A couple questions. First of all, congratulations on such a successful organization. You guys are one of the concert organizations in the country that is still successful, still operating, and pulling in huge crowds because you present excellent music with your concerts, and you keep the price reasonable, so thank you for that. Just one correction, one correction to what you said, that something about the Allied Arts Fund and them getting the check from the city. It's true, but they are just there to distribute the city subsidy. It's not their money. It's
I realize
city
that.
money. Okay.
No, I realize that.
All right. So they raised $143,000 over the city subsidy last year. So did your group receive any of that money as extra money to you?
Well, absolutely. We get a check each year from Allied Arts.
How
via
much
the
was
city.
it for?
We got $3,000.
Was that city money, or was that Allied Arts money?
I would assume it's one and the same. I don't
I
know
think
what
it's city
pot it
money.
came
No,
out
they're
of.
not one and the same. The city subsidy is separate. So if you got $3,000,
That's correct.
that's from the city. And the Allied Arts raised $143,000 according to their figures. On top of that, did you see any of that money go to your organization?
I have no idea where that money came from. I have received grants, a couple of grants to do the special projects, like the workshops for children. And where that money comes from, I honestly don't understand or know.
Wait a minute, we have a point of order
Okay.
question here. We should continue with the public comment, and
Okay, that's fine with me. I just said, I wanted to know where the money was going. Thank you.
okay, next speaker is Gigi Loggy.
Mayor Allender, may I ask, are there any other speakers for the Allied Arts, and could I go after all of them
There are not.
with your consideration? Okay. Mayor Allender and our distinguished city council, just what you want, another presentation this evening. They say a picture is worth 1,000 words. On behalf of the Allied Arts organizations, here are 24,190 reasons to support and not cut the Art Contingency Fund. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Okay, and that'll take us through general public comment. Now into non-public hearing items, items 3 through 40. We'll open public comment on items 3 through 30, and we have a few speaker requests on these items. And there's some of you in the crowd that have put in speaker requests on item 29 and also on 31. It's essentially the same issue, just in different agenda, different actions on the council. So if you don't mind, I'm going to call on all of you right now during this public hearing. So first, Julie Anderson on item 29. Also, the same 3-minute rule applies, so keep your eye on the lights, please.
Good evening, everyone. My name's Julie Anderson, and I'm speaking about the bow hunting of the deer. And for the last 23 years, the primary means used to control the deer population in Rapid City has been killing. This has had very limited success, as only 2 years it was not used and an upsurge in population was recorded. This proves the signs that deer will have twins and triplets, or new deer will take the place of those removed. In other words, this can never stop. To bring bow hunting into the equation is cruel and foolhardy, as it will cost more money to have wounded animals killed by law enforcement. Bow hunting is only 50% effective or ineffective, so this is not a probability, it is a certainty. I have sent some information on reflectors and have reduced deer car collisions by 60 to 100%. This is an option that offers a solution, not just a Band-Aid fix. I propose to the council that part of the deer management money be used to purchase these reflectors in the heaviest collision areas. Preventing deer vehicle accidents and protecting our property are the two primary reasons given for the harvest. Also, the killing of mountain lions in the Black Hills has not been factored into the increase of deer into the city. I propose this statistic be researched to see what the impact is on the city deer population. With the recent implementation of the Governor's Second Century Initiative, which promotes the killing of animals for fun and recreation and to get the kids outdoors, has leaked over into this program disguised as a money-saving device. This cruel method of killing animals has no place in Rapid City's plan. Time and time again, the Game Fish and Parks refuses to implement any substantial non-lethal means to reduce human-wildlife conflicts. Wildlife belongs to everyone, and that includes those of us who want to see every non-lethal method explored. This problem of neglect of this portion of the public also needs to be addressed. To the councilwoman who said her granddaughter was chased by a deer, education on deer behavior and ways to resolve these conflicts needs to be integrated into areas where deer sightings are common. Though I sympathize with the councilwoman's legitimate concern for the safety of her granddaughter, killing deer will not prevent a behavior they all display, but knowledge on how to deal with the conflict will give people the tools on how to solve them. Let's use the second century to live with wildlife, not always killing to resolve the conflicts that have and will arise as we reduce more and more of their land. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Adrienne Forret.
Good evening. My name is Adrienne Forret. I'd like to thank you for the opportunity to speak on this issue, Mayor Allender and City Council members. For many years, I've had the distinct pleasure and opportunity to observe the natural world very carefully, and I've made some wonderful friends with wild animals. If you've had a chance to, I'll bet everyone here has had a chance to make a friend with a wild animal, and you know that they proffer unconditional love. And in today's world, where there is anger and pain and agony, the animals offer us something. They have something to teach us. At the beginning of this meeting, we invoked a sermon, a prayer. I would like to invoke, please, the Sermon on the Mount and ask you to be merciful. There's no reason to shoot deer with an arrow. We have a program in place. Whether or not it's working is another issue, but this is extraneous. We don't need it. And it seems to be catering to the desires of a select few who, frankly, I'm puzzled why they don't apply for a hunting license through regular channels, why they would want to come and hold the community hostage by way of the city council. So I implore you, compassion and mercy are the order of the day, please. Thank you.
Thank you. And next is Karen Delicate.
Good evening, Mayor Allender and distinguished members of our City Council. My name is Karen Delicate, and I live in an area of Rapid City that has a dense mule deer population. We've lived there 16 years and have been aware of the current harvest program using sharpshooters to reduce the overpopulation of deer within the city, and we believe it's safely working. I believe to allow amateur bow hunting in the city is purely recreational. I'm concerned about where the harvested meat will go, and I believe it puts the city's residents at risk. And I oppose it and hope you'll agree. Thank you.
Thank you. And next we have Frank. Now, I'll ask you, Frank, to pronounce your last name when you get up here.
I was going to say, you didn't want to take it on, did you? My last name is pronounced DeCesare. I'm here to speak in favor of the proposed program tonight. I'm speaking individually, but I will say that I am president of the Rapid City chapter of the Isaac Walton League of America. That's an organization that espouses wise use of the land and its resources, which includes hunting and fishing, etc., as a way to properly manage wildlife herds. The program that's proposed tonight, I've seen it in other urban areas. I've lived here since 2006. Prior to that, I've lived in urban areas that are much more heavily populated than Rapid City is. I've seen it work successfully in those areas. I don't see why it can't really work successfully here in Rapid City. If the program is implemented, I have a couple suggestions that I would like the city to keep in mind for the future. One is regarding chronic wasting disease, which is getting to be a significant problem here in the Black Hills. I would ask that the city consider banning the use of any attractants or scents that are based on any kind of natural urine or bodily fluids from deer. Most often these are harvested from deer that are in impounded areas, that is game farms, etc. There's no conclusive evidence that these fluids will allow chronic wasting disease to be transmitted to other deer, but there's no evidence that says it does not either. Some states where CWD is getting to be a problem have already taken some proactive steps on the side of safety and banned the use of any kind of attractant using natural bodily fluids. Another suggestion I would have is that in the future, consider allowing mentored youth to hunt in the program as well. I think giving youth an easier opportunity to harvest their first deer will go a long way towards helping to ensure South Dakota's hunting heritage. I thank you for your service here to the city, and I thank you for hearing me tonight. Good evening.
Thank you. And now Dana Rogers.
Mayor, distinguished council persons. My name is Dana Rogers. I'm from Hill City, South Dakota. I'm here to represent the South Dakota Bow Hunters. I am the secretary and lobbyist for the South Dakota Bow Hunters, which is the state organization. I want to read a few excerpts from a few newspaper articles from around the country. You may not be aware of it, but urban whitetail culling or hunting, it goes on throughout our country, from the Northeast down to the South, the Midwest, and the western urban areas and large cities. You have a situation in front of you that costs a lot of money. and there are issues. Certainly there are pros and cons and worries. But this particular type of measure has been done many times for well over 20 years in many major cities and metropolitan areas, quite safely and effectively and cheaply or even free. Urban archery is called the most practical and cost-effective means to control deer population. That is by the Virginia Secretary of National Resources from the Fairfax County around Washington, D.C., Northern Virginia. From the NRA's Hunter Leadership Forum, cities like Cedar Rapids, Iowa, Harding Township, Morrison County, New Jersey, outside New York City, Little Rock, Arkansas, St. Louis, Columbus, Ohio, Colorado Springs, Atlanta, and even our own Sioux Falls, South Dakota, have had these types of culling operations using bow hunters, trained, certified, effective bow hunters for decades. Adaptable deer have populated our cities and suburbs for decades. Without any predators, the deer flourished to the point of creating numerous problems to some. Vehicle deer collisions top the list. There are also disease and homeowners' gardens, expensive landscaping type issues to some citizens. In response, hundreds of communities have embraced the urban-suburban deer hunting or culling option. For example, Cedar Rapids, Iowa, in 2017-2018, 72 certified and tested archers took 111 deer from the city of Cedar Rapids, Iowa without an incident. Deer hunts in and around Little Rock, Arkansas is noted in a recent Log Cabin Democrat, which is their Little Rock newspaper, said that hunting is the most efficient means we have to control deer populations, and these hunts allow hunters to enjoy their sport while contributing to the needy throughout the state with venison. Again, saving taxpayers' dollars. One of the major benefits of these urban-suburban hunts is significant cost savings, as I've mentioned. In urban settings, suburban settings, the population is really, it's dense. In the case of Colorado Springs, Colorado, we've had incidents of 20 deer per square mile, where in normal incidences, Colorado, it's 2 to 3 deer per square mile. Want to finish off talking about the effectiveness of bow hunting. My son and I just got back from Wyoming, all right? My son is very young, all right? But he was able to take 2 antelope in 2 arrows, and not one lived more than 5 seconds and didn't make it 40 yards. I also took an antelope. I think there are measures that we need to look at to make sure people are certified, to make sure that they're proficient, but this is a cost savings, and our hunters are conservationists. We have many IBEF certified bow hunting safety instructors here in Rapid City that would be happy to help. Bow hunting is efficient, it is humane, it is quick, if properly trained and utilized. And this is a huge cost savings to the taxpayers of the City of Rapid City. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And now Jeff Olson.
Thank you. I'm here tonight to represent the Black Hills Sportsman's Club. Our president couldn't be here, and they obviously endorse this city plan for all the same reasons that bow hunters do also. But I just do want to talk a little bit about what we do with the deer. So last meeting I told you Sportsman's Hunger pledges $8,000 for the processing. The Black Hills Sportsman's Club puts $1,000 in. Now of these 21 archers, they have the option to keep their deer or donate it to Sportsmen Against Hunger, where we will then, we have a certificate system completely outside this. It'll be additional funding to pay to process those deer and get those to the needy. So there's 3 different ways that the needy get this deer. And the bow hunters will have the choice where they want to keep their deer or donate it, and then we'll pick up the processing over and above the $9,000 we already have pledged to the program. So thank you.
Thank you. And now John Canta.
Good evening, Mayor Allender, members of the City Council. Thank you for allowing me to speak. My name is John Canta. I'm the Regional Supervisor with Game Fish and Parks for Western South Dakota. Tonight, I wanted to talk a little bit about the hunt and the restrictions that we're asking, I guess the hunt that we're asking for and the restrictions that we will place on it if the hunt comes to fruition. But I start by saying, I hear a lot of folks asking, why are we having this hunt and what is the purpose here? So to be real clear, up front, we're offering a recreational opportunity. We want to allow folks to have the opportunity to come into the city and harvest some animals and that opportunity to get outdoors. Now, our hope is, and we believe that some of these deer taken with the archery hunt will equal less deer taken in the city removal, which will equal cost savings to the city. So I wanted to put that out there and make sure everybody knows where the Game Fish and Parks is coming from. With that then, I wanted to let you know that we're asking for a very restricted opportunity here. To start, they will have to acquire a license through the South Dakota Game and Fish, and we do keep track of the bad players, folks that have infractions in the past, who have broken the rules with Game Fish and Parks, and so those folks won't get a license because we'll know who the bad players are, and they won't be eligible for that license. After that, then they'll get the access permit from the city. With that access permit, they're committing to coming to a mandatory orientation session. We'll have them over to the Game and Fish office over there. What I envision is not only Game Fish and Parks and our officers in front of the room, but also the Rapid City Police Department so that we can talk about ethical hunting, safety, all the rules and regs that come with this hunt, and the opportunity before them and how important it is that they make good choices and follow the rules. After that, we'll take them outside to our archery range at the office over there and ask them to qualify. So we'll make them shoot arrows into a target at 30 yards so we know that they're competent with a bow and arrow and that they'll make that good shot. Beyond that, we're going to require that they have an access permit in their windshield of their vehicles so that we can identify that vehicle and that that's a hunter in the field. And then also on their person, they'll have a permit as well as our deer license that we've issued to them. That way, if we get a call, we can easily identify those folks and who they are. And understand that we're not going to allow them to run around the city and just let arrows fly wherever they so choose. These are specific areas, and to start with, they'll be on private property and, of course, over at the outdoor campus property where our office is, but specific areas that they'll be able to hunt in and not go outside of those areas. So we'll allow one hunter in a 2-week period and throughout the season there, and no more than that. So you're not going to have a bunch of folks running in each of those areas, and it'll be very restricted again. We are requiring that hunters are 18 years or older, and if they are under 18 years, then they'll have to have a mentor or adult supervisor with them. So I think it's good that we offer that youth opportunity, but only under a restricted situation or where they have someone there to help them make good decisions. The other requirement that I want to talk about is we do require that they have their hunter safety card or have passed our Hunt Safe requirement. And so for those of you that aren't familiar with it, with the Hunt Safe requirement through the Game Fish and Parks, we do talk about ethics, shot placement, just being a responsible hunter and practicing responsible manners when you're out hunting. And so with that requirement, in addition to the course that we're asking them to come to in the qualification, they'll have a lot of background, I guess, in hunting ethics and being responsible. I did want to talk about, just quickly, I see I'm running out of time, non-lethal measures. I would ask you all, if you haven't already, to look at the Rapid City Deer Plan. That Game Fish and Parks does sit on that Rapid City Urban Wildlife Committee and is a non-voting member, I guess, and offer our input on those. And we do talk about some non-lethal ideas or measures in that plan. So I see I ran out of time, so I'll cut it short here, but thank you very much.
Thank you. And Trenton Hafley?
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the City Council. I'm Trenton Hafley. I'm the Regional Terrestrial Resources Supervisor with Game Fish and Parks. I did want to touch on 2 points. Over the last 2 weeks, I've heard from several members of the community have called me and asked questions about the current proposal. The one question that kept coming up was the blue boxes. So within each proposal, within each property that we have permission for, each archer will be restricted to stay within the boundaries of that property. But what they will need to do is within, even further restricted within that property, we'll identify an area that they need to shoot from. So they have to be standing within that property, within that parcel, and the deer needs to be within that parcel to ensure that deer aren't leaving the property that we have permission for. The other thing that was brought up quite frequently actually was the harvest of bucks. So we specifically did not want to address the issue of harvesting bucks in town. We wanted to restrict this to archery antlerless harvest only. What you typically see in town when you start allowing buck harvest is folks start to push the limit. They're doing things irresponsibly because they let the size of the antlers weigh in on their decisions. By eliminating the opportunity for harvest of bucks, we feel we're going to eliminate a lot of the controversy and misplaced judgment that would have come with this hunt. Oftentimes in the Rapid City Journal, when pictures of deer are circulating around with arrows stuck in them, they are big bucks. And oftentimes when our wardens are able to track down who fired those arrows, people sometimes don't even have an archery license. So that's one thing that we wanted to make very clear from the beginning. We're not looking to harvest bucks. We're looking to harvest does to eliminate a lot of those issues. That's all I have.
Okay, thank you very much. That'll conclude the public comment period on these items, and now for consent items 3 through 30. This is a time where the council can take some of these items off to discuss them separately or can approve them all at once. So would there be a motion? Motion to approve by Lewis. Second by Drew. Lisa Modrick. Okay, 29. Are there any other items? Item 28. Okay, then can we amend the motion to approve the consent items with the exception of 28 and 29?
So moved.
Okay. And second by Drew. All right. All in favor of that motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Now we'll go to item 28. Acknowledge the annual TID report to City Council. Lisa Modrick.
Thank you, Mayor. May I ask Pauline Sumption a question? Would she be the one to deliver the answer on the report?
It's a good place to start.
All right, let's start there. So we've got a document in front of us. It's the annual report. And I think for the body of the public, it's always an important annual report to provide on where our TID is at and where it's headed. Could you give us a summary on that?
Sure. You'll see that the date on this is as of December 31 of 2018.
Mm-hmm.
So just a side note, since then we have added a tax increment district 81 for the Park Hill development that Anthony Marshall is working on. In addition, we've also dissolved a TID or in the process of dissolving another TID. That being said, there's always a concern about how much of our tax money is going to the tax increment district. So if you look under the current year tax revenues, that's what we received all of 2018 on property taxes that were above the base. The base still went to the school, the county, and the city as it normally would. So almost $9 million of that was off of the increment from the improvements that they did on the properties as part of the agreements that they have with us. Of that, the city, if you look at what our mill levy is, according to the information from the county, we get about 19% of that. And so that brings to the total to about $1.8 million that would have been city tax dollars had these developments still happened, but not in a tax increment district. Again, likelihood is that a lot of those would not have happened without the TID. That's the philosophy behind them. So state statute says we can only have 10% value of our overall property in tax increment districts. So you'll see the assessed base of $137 million. That's less than 2.5% of our overall tax base throughout the city. So we're well within our 10% limit. That's something that we monitor very closely to make sure that we stay within that. Then the next column will be basically the 2017 valuation. So between the time that the increment was created and 2017, the value of those properties grew about $460 million in value. Then you look at 18, and that's $719 million over the original assessed value of 137. So it increased even more in another year. So we see the value of the TIDs. Once these TIDs are paid off, they go back on the tax rolls as growth, and it allows then the property taxes to go back to the taxing entities. Then we look at the number of years that they originally estimated to pay off, and the maximum that we can have is 20 years. And so you'll see some of them are less than that. There's an 8 and a 9 in there. When the TID expires, our estimated payoff date, the maximum certifications allowed, that's the amount that is in the project plan itself, including any interest that they could claim if they had to borrow the money. Usually that is way more than we ever spend on it, and then the balance on the loan. So if you look at this, I'll just point out 68 is Homestead, the TID, where it showed at the end of 2018 there was under $83,000 left, and we were bringing in $176,000 annually, so that should pay off in 2019. So we can kind of project their payoff times as well, and then who finances it and what the interest rates are.
These are the numbers we need to hear because it's the only tool that we have in our tool belt to really economically assist and drive our development with the partnerships that we do with the TIDs, and sometimes they get a bad rap, but they're there for a purpose. I do have a question, and this may need to go to Ken Young, Mayor.
Okay.
Thank you. With only 28 seconds left, Ken, I know over the course of the 3 years that I've been on council that there have been a number of developers and TID and TIF holders who have not been real satisfied with the fact that we haven't had a streamline on our processing, on our certifications, on our numbers. Some that request, they're ready to move some things. Are we doing anything to speed that up, and what are we doing?
Yes, so as you're aware, we have been working very diligently on preparing a revision to our current TIF policy, and that will be coming forward to you soon for review and approval. One of the things that has happened through the process of doing those revisions is we have taken a good look at following our current policy to a T. And what we have found is that there's been a lot of lax submittals and not following up well from staff in regards to certification and such. And so I think there's been some stumbling a little bit, and that's unfortunate. But I think we've gotten to the point now where there's good communication with the TIF holders and some good communication with the developers that are involved, so they know what the expectation is. And so even though we have not yet brought forward a revision to that policy, just doing the policy that we have correctly has kind of been a bit of a painful process, especially for a couple TIFs that we've had, and those have been well known. But I think that we're getting to the point now where there's a lot better communication and better expectation up front as we get into these, so that the submittals will be complete and the certification can happen more smoothly.
Thank you for that. Smooth operation is good business, and I appreciate that we're getting to that point. Thank you.
Okay, we could use a motion to acknowledge from Lewis on 28. Is there a second? Second. Second by Armstrong. All in favor of acknowledging 28, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Item 29. Approve resolution number 2019-062, a resolution establishing the City of Rapid City Archery Antlerless Deer Access Permit Program. Let's go to Lisa Modrick.
Thank you, Mayor. Before the motion, I wanted to make sure I had an opportunity to speak on this because it's definitely had a lot of communication from the citizens of our community as well as those that are hunters, and we need to really evaluate this and assess it properly. There was a couple of comments that were made that still have me concerned, even from our hunting, from those that are the hunters that are going to oversee this in Game Fish and Parks. And one of them was, well, if I could I bring Mr. Trenton up, because he gave me some reason to question something.
Yes.
Thank you. You have to run because I only get five minutes. Thank you. Run after that deer. All right, so one of the statements that you made is that it is, of course, antlerless and it's only doe. What is the age range of the does that you're going after, and how are you predicting that, especially if you're bringing young hunters that you're bringing in to teach the young ones how to hunt from within our city boundaries?
Yeah, so usually the deer fawns are born in late May to early June. So if you just extrapolate that out to when the archery season would start as proposed in the first part of October, so June, July, August, September, you have the potential youngest deer you'd have would be a 4-month-old deer.
Sounds like a Bambi to me. So a 4-month-old deer would be the youngest by the time the season comes up. And there's so many questions on this. I think our public has a lot of questions as well as to why we want to hunt this way. As I understand it, our marksmanship has been working just fine. Do we really need this style of hunting? I don't believe we do. I don't think we need it in the city. I believe that we have plenty of opportunity with our beautiful prairies and Black Hills to perhaps work through our hunting programs. But to really put this into the city, is it really going to make a difference? I think I heard 21 hunters, and they have 2 weeks to do so. So what are the matrix on that? And how many deer are we taking out? Are we taking 10 out? Are we taking 15 out? Does it matter? It does matter, I think, to the public that we're using bow to do the kill. And I don't see it as the proper way in our community, and I am against this, as well as so many that have reached out to us. I'm sure the other council has had many of calls and many emails, as I have, more so than hunters saying that this is a good idea. I'm hearing it from the public that it isn't. So I have to vote against this. I think we have a plan in place. I think it's a good working plan. I've seen nominal deer in my neighborhood, so something's working, and that was before the bow and arrow. Thank you.
Laura Armstrong.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm going to dovetail off of Mrs. Modrick. I think she made some excellent points. This is just not sitting well with me. I do appreciate everyone coming out and speaking both sides of this story, but just from a public safety aspect, I just don't feel comfortable with this. And we do have the Ellsworth expansion coming. That means more people are going to be coming. This just did not sit well with me, and I know I'm the minority up here. I will hold Mr. Beegler to his word that he said that he would explore other non-lethal means, and I assure you I will be following up on this. Thank you.
Richie Nordstrom.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm in support of this resolution primarily because I grew up as a farm kid from back east, and a lot of the animal husbandry that we dealt with is that how do we feed our families, how do we take care of, and how do we support our families? And it also reminds me of the conditions that were before the modern bow. So harvesting animals of all kinds have happened way before, go back centuries, and that's the way people harvested animals, with a bow, or even some cases with a spear. And now with the advancement and the technology that's being used in the harvesting of any kind of animal with a bow, it seems to be improved greatly. And other things that are taken consideration for this, the area is very confined. The arrows are going to be monitored where they go. So the animals that are harvested, we will know who did the harvesting of that. And I also appreciate all the people that come up with the different alternatives for harvesting our deer, the antlerless deer here in Rapid City. I really appreciate their insights and coming up with some other possible solutions. If I'm reasoning the resolution correctly, if I ever can ask a question of Mr. Bigler, if I may?
Yes.
Jeff, on your way up there, if I'm reading this resolution correctly, the harvesting will go and end approximately the 1st of January.
That's correct.
Is it possible that your group can get us a report on how that fared, how the harvesting went, if it was successful or not, or if any of these other concerns that were brought up could be addressed in that report if this resolution passes?
Well, I think that Fish and Game and the city do have every intention of delivering a report as to the success of this. You know, this resolution is for 2019 for this fall, and so it will be a good pilot experiment to see how it does fare. And so we will have a report for you after the season.
Thank you. And I see that it begins in September 29th, and it goes in 2-week increments. And then, so I'm very interested in the report when it comes back, if this passes. So thank you, Mr. Bigler. I yield.
Darla Drew.
Went away. There you go. Okay. I'll be voting in support of this. One of the things that really bothers me in this area is that I do see dead deer along the road a lot. Last week I was driving up the street, this was like 10 o'clock in the morning at 5th Street. A dead deer was laying on a corner. And, you know, that's really a disturbing sight, too. I really don't want to have that. And that happens because we have so many deer in the inner city. You know, we're going to have deer collision problems. And one of my friends was killed when a deer went through her windshield. This is not a small matter. This is something that kills people, and it hurts people. You know, if you've ever driven over or hit a deer, it's really a traumatic experience, and also it can cause a lot of damage to your car and, of course, the animal, and hopefully the animal will die from that hit. But if they don't, they can limp around wounded and end up wherever. But it was really disturbing to see a dead deer along 5th Street last week, right downtown. So that's one of the reasons I'm going to support this. John, I'd like to ask you a couple of questions, if I could, please. And I hope you can answer this. How long have we been studying this possible solution to the deer problem in Rapid City, this bow hunting?
Sure, thank you. So I know it goes back to when I was the regional wildlife manager, and I'm going to say 6 or 7 years now we've been discussing it, particularly at the Rapid City Urban Wildlife Committee, and then over at Game and Fish. So about 6 or 7 years, I would say.
Yeah, and I was on the Urban Wildlife Committee when some of this was brought up, and it had been studied before that. So we knew there was a real problem. And so when you look, like Councilwoman Modrick wanted some more information, can you get her those kinds of reports that might help her feel okay about this? If it passes, I think that she will probably vote against it. But even if it does, we might need more information to back up this decision and make people feel okay about it.
Yeah, no matter how it goes, we're happy to provide anything. And I would second what Mr. Bigler said. We'll report back any results, any issues that we might have encountered. All of that's on the table, you bet.
And you've worked with Sioux Falls on this too. Have you talked to them about how it's working in their city?
Yep, absolutely. So we, Game Fish and Parks in the Sioux Falls area cooperate with the city of Sioux Falls, and we've been running that hunt for a number of years now. And so, yeah, some of the design here in Rapid City is tailored after that. Now, I'll tell you, there's a little bit of a different situation over there, so some things are unique to Rapid City, but absolutely.
Of course, you know, we have unique problems and areas here. So, but you looked at the rest of the country, and we have many of the urban areas are practicing this. Have you heard of any particular problems that have resulted from this kind of practice being adopted by a city council?
Yeah, so there's dozens and dozens of cities across the nation that have archery hunts. Some of the bigger ones are like Omaha, Nebraska. There's a bunch of cities in Minnesota, including Minneapolis, that allow archery hunts. So by and large, they go off without a hitch, but definitely you run into some issues with people trespassing or some minor issues like that. I would say that by and large, they don't deal with those, but when they do, they address them swiftly and change that behavior.
And I think, you know, I've had a few people contact me on that, and I've just directed those questions to Jeff Bigler, and I'm guessing he's taking care of it. You know, the private land versus public land kind of concerns that we've heard. So I would guess those are being addressed.
I've received some of those as well, so has Mr. Heffley, and yes, we're responding to each of those individuals in person, offering up our rules and regs, what we're going to do to prevent that stuff. One of the gentlemen asked for signage to make sure they know where the boundary is. We're willing to do that. Whatever it takes to make this be successful and people not end up in a bad situation, we'll do it. So yeah, we've definitely heard from those, and we'll address all of that.
Thank you so much, and I'd like to just add that I have beautiful deer that walk through my yard every morning, and I love seeing it, but I also know the danger that comes with having just too many deer per square mile. Thank you.
Thank you.
And now Bill Evans.
As a person who owns ranch land and we allow hunting on that land, I have nothing against hunting in particular, be it with your guns or the archery people. However, I don't see this as an issue that's concerning because of that so much as it is where we're mixing some business with pleasure. I don't think anybody would disagree that it's a more efficient way of doing this city business to use the sharpshooters. I see it moving away from efficiency into something that's done for pleasure, and we're mixing business and pleasure in a way that shouldn't be done. That would mean we've set the precedent for other things to be introduced in the future. So I will be opposing it for that reason. I just do not think it's a proper way to be running the city. Thank you.
Greg Stroman.
Thank you, Mayor. All the comments, and I'm struck by the people who are supporting this. We have Mr. Kanta and Mr. Heffley, people who have spent their entire careers in wildlife management and conservation, and they support this, and they think it's a good idea. I look at Dr. Olson, who hasn't made a career out of it, but he's probably the foremost conservationist in the entire state, and he supports this. And I don't know how I can come up with any reason not to support this when people with those credentials and those backgrounds are in support of it. So I'm definitely supporting this.
Okay. Chad Lewis.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to make a motion to approve, please.
Okay, we have a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Lehman. Okay, all in favor of approval? Let's have a roll call.
Lewis, Lehman, Evans, Drew, Nordstrom, Modrick, Stroman, Armstrong. Motion passes 5-3.
Okay, thank you. And that takes us through the consent, takes us through the consent items. And now on to non-consent items. Items 31 through 40. We'll open public comment on those items, and we have a few speaker requests on item number 40, starting with Kyle Hibbs.
My
My name is Kyle Hibbs. I'm here on behalf of KTM Design Solutions Incorporated. I'm the engineer for a development of 31 single-family homes to be located just west of the terminus on the western side of Big Sky Drive, or what we're trying to get renamed to Patricia Street. Just letting you know that I'm here in the audience, and if you have any questions, feel free to ask.
Okay, thank you. Next, Michael Brown.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council members. I would like to make one request if possible. I am the only individual here in representation of 4 others who are opposing this measure, and I would request the full 10 minutes if possible, since I'll be speaking on behalf of all of those people. Would that be possible?
No, sir, you can have 3 minutes.
Okay. Well, we'll move right along here. Can I use the projector?
Yes, we can get some assistance out here for you.
So, Mr. Darcy Hanson, Mr. and Mrs. Dan Winger, Mr. and Mrs. Scott and Carrie Brown, Mr. Brian Harms are the owners of the 4 homes on Big Sky Drive. I have leased the home at 4395 Big Sky Drive for the last 2 years. We all unanimously oppose this motion. We understand that the primary reason in support of this motion is continuity. But we would argue that there will be no continuity by changing the name of Big Sky Drive to Patricia. I'm going to flip this if you don't mind. Right here, this is Big Sky Drive. The proposal is for it to extend to the west about 2 blocks. This is Patricia Street. You will see that in between them there is a gap. That is a 150-foot stretch of dirt, grass, and sidewalk. It has existed there for the last 19 years plus. It would require a bridge be built to link those 2 streets and make it one continuous street. There is no intention for that bridge to be built. How do we know that? Those of us who were here last week heard Mr. Ebb state unequivocally that neither he nor the developer had any plans of building the bridge that would be required to link those 2 streets and make them continuous. Furthermore, the developer does not own that plot of land anymore. It's held by 2 other individuals in joint. We also know that the other entity involved is the city, and they could build a bridge there, but I would submit, if you'll take a look here, I better read this to you. This is from Dan Cools, City of Rapid City Development Review Engineer. I asked him the question if the city had any plans of linking the 2 streets, and this was his response. There are no plans to extend Patricia Street to Big Sky Drive. If they were ever to be connected, it would be a developer's responsibility for the street and any drainage improvements. So, the last 19 years, these 2 streets have been incontinuous. They have not been consistent, and changing the name of Big Sky to Patricia is not going to change that because no bridge is going to be built. 911 and responders of that nature use GPS to find their locations. So I would contend actually that if there's 2 sides of Patricia and they're interrupted, that could actually cause more confusion than if there's 2 distinct and separate streets separated by that 150 feet. Unfortunately, because of my time here, I'm not going to be able to read the statements from the other 3 who asked me to represent them. If you'd like to see them, they can be distributed. I think you have a letter from Mr. Hanson that he sent here this afternoon. So in short, there's not a good enough reason to inconvenience 5 households just to change this one street. And I would ask you, who would truly be harmed if Big Sky Drive is left as Big Sky Drive? I hope you have questions. Thank you.
Thank you. The next speaker request is Brad Solon.
Good evening, and thank you, Mayor Allender. I'm Brad from Building Services. Yeah, what happened is a development plan was submitted. and there'll be a subsequent plat with that. The development plan showed Patricia Street west of Big Sky. At the staff level, comments came in that, no, that can't occur. There need to be some kind of a continuity there, and that it needed to be one name and not just butt into one another like Cathedral and Fairmont, something like that. And so it's up to you, because we got a road named after it was kind of denied at the staff level that they needed the engineer and the developer needed to come up with a fix. They submitted a road name change application. You're in charge of choosing the road names in the town, especially when you change them. And so if it gets approved, it would subsequently be changed. We would take that resolution that you have attached to your agenda item. It'd get filed at the courthouse. It would officially be changed. But if you deny it, I'd like to think that the developer would have to go back to the drawing board, come up with a different solution. I did talk with staff, the planners who are working on the development plan. They said that if it got denied, they probably would run the development plan through with the two road names butting into one another. I don't see how that could be anything but a problem, because the city ordinance says that road names are subject to the approval of the Emergency Communications Service Center, 911, and I have an email from him that says they need to change the road name. So it's up to you. You got the hard decision.
Okay, thank you. And that's all the speaker requests for those items, so we'll close the public comment. And now we'll start with city ordinances. Item 31, second reading ordinance 6347, an ordinance to amend section 9.28.020 of the Rapid City Municipal Code relating to throwing stones and missiles, and the committee recommendation is to approve. Motion to approve by Lewis, second by Drew. All in favor of approval say aye. Aye. Opposed?
No.
Motion carries, but 3 noes from Evans, Armstrong, and Modrick. Item 32, second reading ordinance 6352, an ordinance removing the requirement to have a runoff election for municipal offices by repealing section 1.16.030 of the Rapid City Municipal Code. Committee recommended to approve, and we have a motion to approve by Lewis. Second by Drew. All in favor of approval say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Item 33, first reading ordinance 6349, an ordinance amending section 17.06 of chapter 17 of the Rapid City Municipal Code, a request by Dream Design International for Sheriff 5 Properties LLC for a rezoning request from high-density residential district to urban commercial district for property generally described as being located at 18 East Kansas City Street. Motion approved by Drew. Second by Lehman. All in favor of approval say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Item 34, first reading ordinance 6350, an ordinance amending section 17.06 of chapter 17 of the Rapid City Municipal Code, a request by Dream Design International for Black Hills Capital 4 LLC for a rezoning request from low-density residential district 2 to medium-density residential district for property generally described as being located east of East Anamosa Street. Motion approved by Lewis. Second by Nordstrom. All in favor of approval say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Item 35, first reading ordinance number 6351, an ordinance concerning the Opportunity Capture Fund Oversight Board. Recommendation is for approval. Motion approved, Drew. Second, Nordstrom. All in favor of approval say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Item number 36, first reading ordinance number 6346 regarding the fiscal year 2020 appropriation ordinance. Motion to approve Lewis, second by Drew, and we'll go to Richie Nordstrom.
Thank you, Mayor. We're on item 36, correct?
We're on 36.
Thank you. I'm going to be voting no on this, primarily because of some concerns that have been raised on this. And I listened to the conversation and discussion at the Legal and Finance. My concern is that, according to the visual that we had on the screen tonight, Patricia makes a loop around and changes. I'm sorry?
Item 36 is the budget ordinance.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I was thinking of a different one. I'm sorry.
Okay, Alderman Nordstrom
Bad hearing tonight.
takes it all back.
My ears are plugged tonight, so,
Okay.
sorry.
Okay, are you all right with item 36? You want to speak on that one? Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve item 36. All in favor of approval, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. On to community development items. Item 37, a request by Dream Design International for BH Capital 4 LLC for a preliminary subdivision plan for proposed lots 1 through 3 of Block 1 of Shepherd Hills subdivision, generally described as being located east of East Anamosa Street, south of Menards. And Lisa Modrick makes a motion to approve with stipulations. Second by Darla Drew. All in favor of that motion say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Item 38, a request by Long Branch Civic Engineering Incorporated for Lee Jensen for a preliminary subdivision plan for proposed lot 2R2 of Block 6 of Elks Country Estates, generally described as being located northwest of the intersection of Willow Bend Road and Augusta Drive. Okay, we have a motion to approve with stipulations. Second? Second by Darla Drew. Need some coffee up here. All in favor of approval with stipulations, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Item 39, a request by Fisk Land Surveying and Consulting Engineers for Lima Properties, LLC, for a preliminary subdivision plan for proposed lots 1 and 2 of Lima subdivision, generally described as being located at 2700 Mount Rushmore Road and 751 Cathedral Drive. Motion to approve with stipulations? Okay, we have a motion to approve with stipulations by Modrick. Is there a second? Yes. Second by Lewis. All in favor of approval say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Item 40, approve resolution number 2019-064, a resolution requesting a portion of Big Sky Drive be renamed to Patricia Street. Motion to approve by Drew. Second by Lehman. We'll go to Richie Nordstrom.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm just having a little difficult hearing tonight, so I apologize for getting things confused. Let's see. First of all, but according to the visuals that we're looking at, and I also took a drive out there to this site to take a look at that, and Mr. Estes, I apologize, I'm going to have to vote against you tonight. Normally we get along very well, but on this one, not so much. So Mr. Brown and his neighbors have brought up some careful considerations for us, especially when we're involving with businesses that have to change address. And one of the business owners out there in this road or street on Big Sky is going to have to change the address and mail out at minimum to 85 different customers and let them know that there's a big change coming. And we've got other streets within the city that have transitions from different names to, and it's the same road. Fifth Street's a good example. Susanna's a good example, and there's some others. And whereas this one here, I'm looking at basically a culvert with a sidewalk across the top of it. And if there was any immediate plans to change that area, that would probably be coming out of CIP. And I'm not seeing any of this coming up on a CIP schedule. So if I can direct a question to Dale Tech, Director Tech, please.
Yes, please.
Dale, am I speaking correctly that we're not seeing this culvert or this road being modified in any way in the, near future, I guess?
That's correct. It has not been identified as a future CIP project.
Thank you. And that's the reasons why I'm not in support of this, because there's a natural divide And it is a well-defined natural divide between one street and another. And if I can offer another suggestion, and hoping to keep it somewhat lively or positive on this construction, if I remember seeing a master plan on this for Mr. Estes, there was a plan for a cul-de-sac. And if you want to consider having a court or a place named after Janet, I would consider having that approved, called Janet's Place. So if that can be achieved, then I'm okay with that. But at this point, I'm going to be supporting the people in this area for the lack of a name change. Do not change the name. And that's kind of where I'm at right now. And in fact, I've gotten more phone calls on asking, when is Homestead going to go through? So that's where I'm at, Mayor. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Lisa Modrick.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm a 99.9% love to get the names all the same. I've always felt that way for a long time and through other road projects that I've looked at, and this one I have struggled with as well. And I like that Michael had brought the map up, because it really shows it for those that didn't get on site or couldn't get on site. It shows that it is a drainage divide. It's got a lovely park-like setting that goes across it in a walking zone, but it doesn't look like it's going to become that in development. Especially, I didn't know that the developer didn't have that piece of property, so that was another good piece to know. But on the other side, where the 31 homes are going to go in, that all makes great sense to move that forward continually. But on the side that has the 4 homeowners who are really untouched by that development, it shouldn't be complication. I'm confused as to why, and maybe I need to ask Mr. Solon a question if I could. Bring Brad up.
Yes, please.
Thank you, Brad. Brad, I need to ask you, because you made it sound complicated that the developer can't move forward very easily, but this is not a complicated matter. Granted, we've got the opportunity to say yes or no on this road, but for the 4-house change, it shouldn't make a hiccup on the development of 31 houses. So what can be done for the developer to make that easy and not be a problem tonight?
I guess what they'd have to do is present an alternate plan.
So but the
we've
alternate
never
plan
seen
would
it.
just be their 31 west of the 4 homes.
Yeah, and the street name on the development plan and the subsequent plat that's going to get approved is going to say Patricia Street. So you're going to have Patricia Street, a ditch, Big Sky, and Patricia Street. That's what would happen when it gets denied, or if it gets denied.
Well, but the side that's on or that's on Big Sky right now, one of the statements that was made was it had a historical option that it might be a cul-de-sac like the one that's beside it. There's cul-de-sac and then there's not. We really don't know what's going to happen on that street. And to me, that would be the time to maybe align or address it, because if it's cul-de-sac, then does it really matter? If it moves on with development, then that would be the time maybe to bring in 4 homes. But this seems like we're pushing 4 homes when 31 homes are going in an entirely different direction. If it was on both sides, if we were sandwiching this neighborhood, it seems that would be more complicated and we'd want to clean it up. But we're not sandwiching them at all. We're developing on the other side of the drainage. So I'd like to see this move forward simply.
Okay, I don't have a planner here. I think the street plan shows the street going through to Timmins. I don't think it's a cul-de-sac to the west. Someone can correct me, please.
And is that in a development plan that you've got in your office right now on the other side? So not just west, but east as well?
Nothing to the east, no. It's only to the west.
So once again, only to the west, which is across from the drainage as the map was so shown, but not to the east, which at that time probably would be the time to trigger something between the developer and 4 homes.
So, Ms. Modrick, the master plan shows Neal Street extending to the south, and then would be Big Sky or Patricia Street extending to the west, intersecting. The development plan that's currently in shows an extension of Patricia coming to right about here with what's called Chet Street extending back and ending in a cul-de-sac. I think that's the cul-de-sac that you're thinking of. So we are extending what would be this road, Big Sky Drive or Patricia Street, to the west about 300 feet, and then putting in about 900 feet worth of cul-de-sac to the south.
So to answer your question, the Big Sky Patricia is going to connect with Neal Street to the west, a little bit farther, so you can see Neal up here.
Right.
Neal is going to come down here.
But it still does not connect with Patricia Street on the west because of the divide.
Can one of you guys trace where Patricia Street and Big Sky Street will be once it's developed, if denied or if approved?
So starting at the western terminus of Big Sky Drive right here, continuing west to right here, and then the cul-de-sac will start right here, what's called Chet Street, continue to the south 900 feet, and then end right here.
So that's the entirety of the...
Of the 31 homes, yes.
Okay, so then you've got Big Sky from where to where on this map again?
Big Sky Drive is from the western terminus of what we can call the drainage ditch, about 150 feet to the west to right there.
And you've got Patricia Street connected to the east?
Patricia Street starts from the eastern side of that drainage ditch and goes to the east, all the way.
All the way to Carl Street, I believe.
But doesn't connect because of the drainage. It doesn't connect. So really, the road right now, the name is Big Sky. That's the name of it. And so if this development went on forward and then came back over to Chet Street, it still is a very small sliver of Big Sky. What would it be? How many homes right there on that Big Sky roadway in this development?
3.
Okay. So it's a very small process. I mean, we've got 4 homes, but it's going to affect 3 new homes and 4 existing homes with a name change. And I wish the neighborhood was in favor of this, but they're really not. They're not in favor of this name change, and that's the part I'm trying to consider here. If we've got a true connection, then I would want that to be directly tied in, but I'm still not seeing a true connection yet, especially with a cul-de-sac or a possible cul-de-sac. If I've missed something, maybe my fellow council members can fill me in, so I'm a little more open to it. Thank you.
All different names. Okay, Darla Drew.
Thank you, Mayor. I am going to be voting in favor of this because I want the continuity in the roads. Now, Mr. Solon, Brad, could you please come back up here? Who was it exactly that said that this had to be done, 9/11 director or something? Refresh my memory. Who wanted this in a letter to you?
3 of the commenters were, one was police, they were in favor of it, fire was in favor of it, and the Emergency Communications Service Center, E911, it's Ted Rooflight, he's the E911 coordinator. I have an email from him that says that he's in favor of the road name change. That's all he said.
Well, I am too, and it's because of continuity. And as we build out in the future, I think about a statement that Richie said about the near future. I want to look at the entire future. I want to see that we are looking at 10, 20 years down the road, so we don't have another Susan that turns into 32nd, that turns into Argyle Street. I mean, it is 3 different names on the same street, and I would really like to get those things changed. And I can see I'm going to have a fight with that, but I think that the Susan name is antiquated and kind of not respectful of the American Indians in the way that it's spelled. So I just think we need to make some changes, and we need to look into the future for this city. And I would like to see more changes come through. As far as businesses changing their address, it happens all the time. This isn't rare, this isn't unusual, and 85 people is just not that many emails to send in my estimation. So I would say that I would like to see the change go through. I would like to have it happen now. I have no doubt these streets will be connected, not maybe in the next 5 years, but certainly within 10 or 20 years. So let's have it clear that it's the same street right now. Thank you.
Bill Evans.
Thank you. I grew up on 48th Street near Pinedale School, and for those who know that neighborhood, there's a 48th Street to the north, and then discontinuous, there's a 48th Street to the south. I remember when I was in high school and the ambulances tried to find our house when my dad was having a heart attack. And we listened to them going around and round on that North 48th Street for about 45 minutes because they were on the wrong end of the street because it was discontinuous, just like this one. I know people get involved in emotional issues with their street names and everything. They're named in honor of people. They are named because the people, they lived there. They bought the house because they liked the sound of that street. In this particular case, it's discontinuous, and I can see somebody on that other side running around trying to find that, but they can't get through. Well, the street ends. So to me, it's illogical to have two parts of the street when I've lived the nightmare where a discontinuous street had the same name and people couldn't find the house. Now, ironically, when they extended South 48th Street, where we lived, and my mom lived for 60-some years, they named that part of the street Edgewood, even though it's a perfect alignment and you go right across the West Main, and there it is. So, you know, the policy of it being continuous when they're connected is not very consistent throughout the city. So I'm going to be voting no on this one as well.
Greg Stroman.
Thank you, Mayor. Could I ask Mr. Solon a question, please?
Yes.
So, Brad, in the agenda, it says that the developer is charged with correcting any street name signs associated with the request. Is there any possibility that, I'm not sure that Bill's example with today's GPS and so forth, I don't know that I'm quite as concerned about that happening in today's science and geography or whatever, but is there any possibility you can put signs on either end of Big Sky that says, you know, Patricia continues after this, or on the other side of this little area? Is there some method of notifying people that are on there that this is a little parcel that has a different name than Patricia?
There are a few streets in town like that. Catron is one where it's Catron, but it goes East Catron. There's a sign there that indicates where that occurs. And that was for 9112. But really, the street name signs are going to be up to engineering. You'd probably want to talk to the engineering people about that, about how they would do that. Something would have to be done.
Thank you.
Do we have a motion? Motion is to approve. Okay, the motion on the floor is to approve. We'll take a roll call vote on this.
Stroman?
No.
Armstrong?
Yes.
Lewis? Lehman? Evans? Drew? Nordstrom? Modrick? So tie vote 4-4.
Okay, chair votes aye. Motion passes. That takes us, let's see, through the community development items. On to public hearing items 41 through 51, and there are no speaker requests for these items. So we'll skip a public hearing, and consent public hearing items will be 41 through 51. Lewis makes a motion to approve all the consent items. Armstrong makes a second. All in favor of approving consent, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Takes us down to 52, the bill list. We'll go to Pauline Sumption, Finance Officer.
pretty sure you have 47 to 51 first for the non-consent public hearing items.
Sorry,
I'd like to get out of here too.
watching the clock.
but-
Okay, check and balance. Okay, wait a minute. Okay, we had consent public hearing items 41 through 51 listed, and it should have been 41 through 46. Okay, all right. Now we'll go back to 47, non-consent public hearing items. 47, Resolution 2019-059, a request by City of Rapid City for comprehensive plan amendment to revise the Rapid City Future Use Plan. Well, I have information from Community Development that there's a little glitch here that they're trying to work out, and we have a request to postpone this item until September 3rd.
So moved.
Okay, we have a motion to postpone by Chad Lewis.
Second.
Second by Armstrong. All in favor of postponing, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 48, a request by Fisk Land Surveying and Consulting Engineers for David Ritter for a vacation of right-of-way for property generally described as being located on Wood Avenue, lying south of Knollwood Drive.
Motion to continue.
Okay, we had a motion to continue by Armstrong, second by Drew. All in favor of continuing, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 49, second reading, Ordinance 6342, and ordinance amending Section 17.06 of Chapter 17 of the Rapid City Municipal Code, a request by Dream Design International for Eileen and Edward Eller for a rezoning request from General Agricultural District to Low Density Residential District for property generally described as being located west of the current terminus of West Minnesota Street, east of Mount Rushmore Road.
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve, Modrick. And a second by Armstrong. All in favor of approval, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 50, second reading, Ordinance 6343, an ordinance amending Section 17.06 of Chapter 17 of the Rapid City Municipal Code, a request by Brian Watland for Western Dakota Technical College for a rezoning request from low-density residential district to public district for property generally described as being located east of Mickelson Drive, west of Valley Drive, and north of Homestead Street. Motion to approve by Drew, second by Armstrong. All in favor of approval, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Item 51, second reading, Ordinance 6344, an ordinance amending Section 17.06 of Chapter 17 of the Rapid City Municipal Code, a request by Dream Design International for Yasmin Dream LLC for a rezoning request from General Agricultural District to Medium Density Residential District for property generally described as being located east of Elk Vale Road. Motion to approve Modrick, and a second by, was that Stroman? Okay, a couple of them. All in favor of approval, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Item 52, the bill list again. We'll go to Pauline Sumption.
Thank you,
Finance
Mr.
Officer.
Mayor. There are no additions to the bill list, so the total is that which is attached at $6,200,839.36.
Move to approve.
Motion to approve by Drew. Second by Evans.
Move to adjourn.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. Okay, anyone want to adjourn?
No.
Motion to adjourn, second by everybody else, and we're adjourned, everyone. Thank you very much.